Hello, I'm Daniel Serridge from the Village Storytelling Centre, and we have been working alongside LCT for nearly 3 years now on this programme. In Dumfries and Galloway, our job was to work with people who are unpaid carers, staff and volunteers who work with people with dementia, and an attempt was made to work with people with dementia numerous times, but as you may be aware, it proved very difficult, but there will be ongoing attempts on this process. So who are the village and who are we and what do we do? In very simple terms, we're concerned with stories and storytelling. We believe that there is power in everybody's story, and everybody's story deserves to be heard. What we want to do is provide a platform, a plinth, a stage, or a place where we are able to listen, we're able to hear, and we're able to give it the space that it deserves and help people recognize that their experiences, their stories, and the act of telling them is artwork and deserves to be treated as such. So our process is about working with people to uncover those stories and to go into it in a way which feels safer. So we talk about a one-step removed process, a place or a space where people feel they can contribute and offer their own experiences in a way that's both safe and supportive and slightly removed as well. I want to talk a little bit about how we do that and what came out of those sessions and how those stories that emerge are turned into something that's more deep and has more meaning going forward. We start with a story, we tell a story, a fictional story, a piece of folklore, if you will, because we are initially interested in metaphor and creating archetypes that people can really respond to. The power of telling a story about the forest, about a giant, about a group of animals, about whatever it happens to be, is it triggers people's connection, it triggers people's associations to important characters and important features that they can recognize and make meaning from. For us, stories only become interesting when an audience or when a group of people place themselves into it. So what begins to emerge is a conversation about why a giant may chop wood in the forest can change into what really matters for people with in dementia care in Dumfries and Galloway, for example, because we talk about giants perhaps as being figures of huge fear and scariness, when in reality we're surrounded by them and they're often ignored or vilified or left out in the cold, like a number of issues and experiences people can have in a caring setting. After we explore these ideas, after we tell a story and people begin to open up about their own work or about their own experiences, we move on to look at care, and we use that as a jumping off point to explore what care means in the area within which we're talking, in this case, Dumfries and Galloway. And within each and every area we've worked, a care list has been spoken, has been read out loud. And what I want to do now is just reveal the care list that we came up with in Dumfries and Galloway. These are Dumfries and Galloway. This is an amalgamation of all the different ideas and thoughts that people had in the area of what care is and how it's defined. So this is a definition, and it's this: care is being there. It's not judgmental, it's accepting, it's consistent. It's a consistent love and attention. It's not being prepared to get to know someone. It's not looking down your nose. It's not wondering. It's not looking. It's not using people. It's sometimes being totally lost. It's a world of uncertainty. It's relying on other professionals, being on the other side of a relationship. It's about concern, it's about compassion, it's about understanding, it's about connection. It's about connection in a relationship, and it's about mutual benefits. It's about everyone experiencing care. It's about practical help. It's about something to do with trust. It's about trust. And for us, hearing that list and having a moment to define what care is, what we begin to understand is how much of a connection people have to that term, how rich and how raw people feel to that term, and how important it is for people to define. And I have found, working on this program, it's an incredible pleasure and privilege to hear people's definition of care, because everyone has a hugely deep understanding of what it is, because they are doing it day in, day out. And the power of those words are evident in people's responses to it. It's evident in what they say and how they say it. And that came about through a story. Once we've told a story, once we've heard this care list, what we attempt to do is get that little bit closer to the issues at heart, to the issues that matter to people and what's really relevant to the people in that area, but we still keep it slightly removed. And through a process of creating a new character, creating a new story, we begin to delve into a particular person's experiences internally and externally. How do they feel? And what are the pressures that surround them that are supporting or not supporting the feelings that they're having? And what we discover is everybody within that space contributes to the character, making something up, having fun and playing with it, but also placing their own fears, hopes, emotions onto those characters. And this process particularly works with the unpaid carers, with the carers that we've worked with, because they are incredibly close to their feelings and their emotions, and they're experiencing things that are so deep and so heartfelt on a daily basis that the characters that get created are incredibly rich. I don't want to talk a bit about the characters that were created in Dumfries and Galloway, because that will all be made available in the packs that come along with this, and you'll be able to read those in the report. But I think you'll agree that there's a richness to them, and we could all look at them and say, I know somebody like this, or I feel a connection to this, because those characters have been created from the feelings of the people within the space. So you may be thinking, well, you've got a great story and you've got a character here, but what then happens to all the information that's collected? How do these voices and stories that get heard become something that's used further forward, that's able to be developed and passed on and condensed into something clearer to understand? And that's where our priorities come in. A set of priorities have been created by Life Changes Trust out of the work that we have delivered and the stories that we've created. And I'd like to take a moment to read those to you now. So here are our priorities. I'm just going to read them out and let them speak for themselves. Each priority is accompanied by a quote from the people to help demonstrate and hopefully underline what we're getting at here. So priority 1, peer support is crucial. Having relationships with other carers is so valuable and provides much needed connection with those who share similar experiences. Because of COVID and restrictions, there are a lot of limitations, but care is still what I'm looking for, and I think I will find someone whose story is like mine. But they're ahead of me. I'm hoping that I learn from their story, how to live my life as a carer and to be as good as I can be. Just having that person who's just at the same level, it's actually quite comforting and it makes me feel better. Priority 2. There's a real need to improve access to support and to listen to those affected by dementia, those living with it, unpaid carers and families. We need to make sure that people are accessing the things they need at the time they need them. People need respite now. They don't need to wait 6 to 8 weeks. We need better access, more choices to be able to access services in a variety of ways so that people can choose what suits them, makes them feel better. Priority 3. Communities and the support activities they provide are a vital element in how services should be delivered. Due to the pandemic, there has been a breakdown in connecting to community projects. It's crucial that these relationships begin again. Some of the previous ways people were coming to us as a service would be through community activities, and all of these have stopped. That would have been a way in to begin to get support with us before crisis. Community groups and activities allowed for a slow build of relationships with services, but because of the pandemic, this hasn't been possible. And priority 4, care services are exhausted. There's too much work, not enough staff, and not enough information on access to services. Services do their best to continue to provide support however they can, but even digital engagement has been difficult. People's physical health has been hugely impacted through lockdown, and people's cognitive functioning is worsening more than it was pre-COVID. The need for care packages is higher and more complex, and we don't have enough care staff. Nothing's changed really. It's always been difficult for people to access services. For years and years, we talked about a one-stop shop. There's been a big focus on connecting people digitally, but it's not been easy to deliver in Dumfries and Galloway. You see other areas with better engagement and as a result, better opportunities. And so it's been really hard. So as you can see, there's a lot of vital and important information coming out of those priorities. It became clear in Dumfries and Galloway just how much feeling and how much care there was in people's responses, how much perhaps frustration there was too. And I think some of those priorities go to help to describe what people have experienced. I said at the beginning, and I say at the beginning of all these presentations and all the sessions that we do, how much of a privilege it is to deliver this work, how lucky we are to hear these stories and provide an ear for them. But for us, it's an opportunity to celebrate the stories that have been told and to let people know that they have a space and they have a place to tell them. We feel that the stories that have been shared in Dumfries and Galloway really do reflect a broad picture of people's feelings and responses to the care that they're giving and being given in the area. And what became clear from the work that I did was just how much of a connection people had to the communities of that area and how close those communities felt. And I wanted to end on just a little quote that I feel feels pertinent to the work that we've done and to the messages we're trying to put across and to gather. And it's this: communities hold stories. They keep each other's secrets. They know each other well enough to accept them, warts and all. And it feels like an important quote because there's a strength in this sense that communities bind together through the stories that they tell each other, that they bond over everyone's needs, and that they're willing to accept people no matter what that story is and what their experience is, warts and all. And we hope that our work with Life Changes Trust and on this project has enabled people to feel like they have been able to share their stories, warts and all. And we hope that these priorities and the work that we've done helps and supports the future of dementia care in Dumfries and Galloway. Thank you for your time.